which is why it's weird that I've got 5. Did you hear me say I was joking with you? I like texted everybody because the first time I got 3, and then I joked about it at a meeting, and then I got 5. I'm like, maybe it's just missing. And sort of secretary of the city. Weird that there's 2, but yeah, that's what my husband is excited about the day off. Oh, but right. Yeah. Yeah, it could be. And then that's not even current bus address. That's from like.
Well, no, she didn't look older to me, but she's
I got you.
she's in her 40s. Yeah, and she had, I think she had graying hair. I guess I don't pay much attention to people who come and talk to her. I know. Julie? I know she's got a gray dress on.
Jane Neiman? Janie Neiman? Are you speaking on behalf of the union rep tonight? Or are you speaking for yourself?
Did you get to the GRPS?
Okay.
Hang on top of that. Okay. Really trying to stay on it.
All righty. Colleagues, are we ready? Mr. Eatman? Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the Grand Rapids Public School Board regular meeting for Monday, November 6th. We welcome and appreciate your presence at this meeting. We respectfully request that you turn off cellular phones and refrain from clapping, cheering, or making audible comments. We invite you to make a formal public comment during the designated times on either agenda or non-agenda items or both. You may submit a comment card at the entryway tables if you would like to make comments. Please limit your comments to approximately 3 minutes. And we will also take the union representative in the first public comment if there is going to be a comment on behalf of the union rep tonight. If you could please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez is excused. Mr. Ross?
He's en route.
Excuse? He's on his way.
Yeah, he's on his way.
Ms. Shockey?
Here.
Ms. Wade? Ms. Davis? Here. Mr. Eatman?
Here.
Ms. Lewis here. Ms. Melton?
Here.
President Williams?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Awesome. And we need approval of the agenda. All in favor of the approval of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Awesome, thank you. And we will move first to celebrations.
So good evening, everyone. We are excited to celebrate one of our own staff members, Miss Yamaka Bracey, who is the principal of Campus Elementary, which is just across the way over here. And I'm going to ask Miss Bridget Cheney, who is her principal supervisor, to come forward, and Miss Bracey to come forward. Okay, so while we're waiting for Executive Director, is she coming? Okay, okay. I was gonna sing a little song. Not. Yes.
You heard it. Thank you. I apologize. Thank you, President Williams, Dr. Roby, distinguished board members. Thanks for being here tonight. Yamaka Bracey, yes, beautiful voice. At Davenport University, and they provided her with the recognition that she so well deserves. And so I'm just happy to be sitting next to her, principal of Campus Elementary, and just, yes, kudos and thanks for being here, along with your support network as well, so. What would you like?
Ms. Bracey, do you want to just share a little bit?
Oh, yeah, it's truly an honor to be recognized for something that you just simply love to do. My passion is education, and I do it effortlessly because it's just within me. And so I'm thankful to God, GRPS, and everyone for this wonderful opportunity to be recognized. This is the first award they had ever given out. It's in urban education, which I have my master's degree in because of GRPS, paying for that for me through college. But it's the first one to ever be given. And so that's a blessing in itself, to be selected as the first. So, yeah, I'm thankful for everyone that came out and supported me, and really everyone that has supported me along this journey, from family to friends, from community, and from GRPS, and all that's connected to me. So this is just the best of what greatness is going to continue to look like for us at Campus Elementary, within myself and GRPS as a whole. So keep believing, because great things are coming.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Alrighty, next we are.
Did you do that?
Picture, we wanted to do a picture. Why don't we do that? And then invite Ms. Bracy, your parents. I know your parents are here and your daughter's here.
My father, my daughter, my mother, and my daughter's all coming in, and I have my family, my sister-in-law and her daughter, my niece.
Okay.
And of course, some people from campus is here as well.
Great.
We're inviting you down to come take a picture.
Oh, you want to come? Okay, just come on, y'all.
Yeah, bring the whole family down. Come on down. All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Thank you.
Kim, you may text card. Text card.
Right next to Leanne. Safe.
I was watching.
Next, we have our scholar representatives report. We'll start with Ms. Jayla Davis. Do you have any?
Oh, no comment and stuff.
All right, wonderful. We'll move right to our next part, as Mr. Calderon is not with us today. And our first opportunity for public comment, or the union rep. So I'll call down the union representative. If you'll come down. Matt? We have a spots carved out for the union rep in the first opportunity to speak. Would you like?
Second opportunity as well, or no?
If you would like to.
I'll just wait till the end.
Okay. Wonderful. Wait to the end. Awesome. Then next we have our secretary's reports.
Yes, the Ad hoc Facilities Committee will be meeting on Wednesday, November 15th at 4:30 PM in the library room in building one, the library building room 112. Policy Committee will be meeting on November the 15th at 5:30 in the administration building 101.
And next, we have our committee chair updates. We'll start with academic achievement. Mr. Ross?
Thank you. So our most recent academic achievement committee meeting was October 17th. That point, we did get our traditional update from instructional council. Our reports to the board were regarding the HBCU brief. There is, in association with Promise Neighborhood work, there's some uplifting of HBCUs and potential attendance by our scholars to HBCUs. So we did get an overview of some of the planned activities to highlight HBCUs coming up in the spring. One of those is a trip. Some of the details at this point hadn't been fully ironed out, but we'll be taking a number of scholars to tour some HBCUs in the spring. We also got an overview of our 2023 state assessment data. That focused on, I'm trying to read my own chicken scratch here, I apologize. And of course, committee members, please feel free to add whatever as well. But as far as that state assessment data, it really focused on some of the tiers that we have regarding our behavior management work, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 in particular, tier 1 being PBIS work. We talked about identifying into the Montessori certification piece for our instructors, and maybe missing some things, but please won't depend simply on my memory. Ms. Davis or Ms. Melton, if you have anything to add. No? Okay, well, thank you.
Next, we will have an update from the Ad hoc Facilities Committee. Ms. Shockey?
All right, good evening, everyone. The Ad hoc Facilities Committee met on the 18th of October, and we had a few agenda items. We started with an update on the demolition of the Kensington building. The asbestos abatement was to be complete by the 1st of November, with demolition beginning November 6th, so coming up. That work is scheduled to be completed by the end of December. We heard that we are saving some bricks from the building to be able to give to alumni or community members, and it was really nice to hear that some community members who came out to the celebration of Kensington requested some of the materials from the building, including some artwork that was created by family members of those folks. So I was delighted to hear that the district was able to provide those materials to community members, and that our contractor pitch was also accommodating those ongoing requests. We spent quite a bit of time reviewing the Grand Rapids Montessori project, understanding, of course, that there were many challenges that led to the delay of opening of that building. And I'll just share, I think, what's most important, which is what did we learn and what are we going to do about it? And so here are some of the highlights from that meeting. The district is going to better define and create budgets, schedules, and contingencies. The recommendation is to avoid major renovations in occupied buildings and consider moving scholars to a different building if construction has to take place. We're going to ask consultants for field visits and the city plan reviewers to walk buildings in advance of construction projects. And we're going to work to ensure that our contractors' construction schedules are complete 30 days prior to the opening of school, not 2 weeks. That was a huge lesson learned. We're going to request milestone reviews from our contractors and ensure that we have a Plan B contingency if the building is not on track, so that we can avoid a replication of what happened at Grand Rapids Montessori. And overall, not as a result of this project, but ongoing work that will be on the dashboard as well, is lead and asbestos testing before any construction project, and also air quality testing at the end of every project moving forward. So a hard but good discussion about what was learned from Grand Rapids Montessori. Any questions about those items?
Do we have anything about the swimming pool at Ottawa? Do we know anything about it?
We did not touch on that project, no, sorry. Okay, that's my report.
There will be an update related to that next month. I'm just looking for Mr. Smart. Oh, next month?
Next month. Okay, practice starts next month. Okay.
And then next, we have Ms. Shockey again with the Finance Committee.
Yes, Thank you. The Finance Committee met on the 23rd of October. Very typical meeting, purchasing agenda and reports. A couple of highlights from the purchasing agenda. We were able to recommend tonight the purchase of new band uniforms, and we were able to preview those. They're wonderful. We are again supporting the close-up experience for our middle and high school students so that they can travel to Washington, D.C. and have that really meaningful and powerful experience. We had a few bond updates in that meeting as well, including that Innovation Central renovations are anticipated to be complete by January of '24. I will note for the board that the purchasing agenda, although was moved forward, was not universally, or excuse me, was not recommended by all board members. And that was a result of one item that's referenced in the purchasing agenda later this evening, and it is the purchase of the playbook program. So a couple of committee members asked for details on goals around that grant funding, and those are provided in board docs. And so if there's more questions during the purchasing agenda, I'd be happy to address those then.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll have our superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone, once again. And so we had our very first all-staff meeting. This is under strategic theme number 5, which is to cultivate and engage impactful, diverse workforce. And Dr. Brandy Lovelady Mitchell, who is our deputy superintendent, will provide an overview of what we've learned for this first round of meetings and what's happening next.
Good evening, President Williams, trustees, and Superintendent Roby. And it is my honor to be in front of you a little longer than what normally happens at dinner board meetings, but I think given what we are attempting to do, it's worth me slowing down a little bit and sharing some information. So please ask questions. And let me start with this. Upon our researching, engaging in this way, we were talking about how old GRPS is, and it's over 150 years old. You all know that. And so many examples of joy, many examples of highs, and unfortunately, examples of lows or harm and hurt too. And the thing that we heard is that no one could say that we had ever come together in this way, in an all-district staff meeting. And perhaps it's because of some of the highs and lows. There was anxiety and tension around how do we do that? How do we do that, given the Eureka report and contentious meetings where a lot of things have been said that aren't always pleasant to hear. So how do we turn to one another? And the commitment that Dr. Roby has made and we have fallen in line to is really trying to think about ways that we do turn to one another and enter into hard conversations, but not in the same way. And so that's why we're starting with this quote of, I believe we can change the world, GRPS, if we start talking to one another again. And it may seem a little cheesy, but I'm gonna anchor that quote in order for us to be who we know we need to be relative to achieving high success with our scholars related to their growth, proficiency, joy, and our staff, similarly, we know that we have to live in this productive tension space. And so the future Dr. Nadia Brigham gives us this framework of productive tension, meaning being able to identify and understand that we're not where we want to be. Current reality related to our culture, some have said where our house is on fire, that the culture is toxic. That is not easy to hear or sit in, and yet not to stick our head in the sand to say, and so who do we want to be? How do we want to show up? And so as a mechanism, one of many, we believe that being able to turn to one another in a specific way through our voluntary all district staff meetings might be one of those ways, and have decided to go slow to go fast. So I'm going to share a little more in terms of it's not where we want it to be, but we think it's a structure that might be a lever for us. Let me say this again. This alone, the all-district optional staff meetings, is not a silver bullet. And my efforts here to go slow is also a symbol of, in our all-district optional staff meetings, it is intended to go slow to go fast in terms of building attendance and everything else, because we want this to be sustainable, and we don't want this to be technical or check, but we want this to be transformative. And so with that being said, I also just want to anchor, because we're trying to go slow to go fast, and because we're living in the tension, a concept that we have embedded in the process is, in order to be a healthy, whole community, we have to understand that there are two sides to the coin of community. It is the collaborative side, community, and it's also the cognitive side of, the conflict side. So being able to hear the criticism and the conflict, but distinguishing that from the affective below the belt attacks conflict which is affective conflict, to more of the cognitive conflict of how do we push one another's thinking. Let me say that better. We're not trying to do what the nation does in terms of we don't have civil discourse. Even some of our meetings here have been a little choppy and hard, and yet we know that cognitive conflict can grow us and make us better. And so how do we go slow to build a space where we can engage in cognitive conflict versus below the belt affective conflict in the name of building community and collaboration? And so the agenda that we set, it seems like a scroll or perhaps a dissertation, but I just want to talk about the what, why, and how of how we conducted the first one, which was under 50 people, which for real, it was heavy Franklin staff. And we don't want to see that as we go forward. And yet I say we're going slow to go fast, because we're also building our muscle in terms of Franklin staff, in terms of how do we show up as table captains, how do we engage in the tension of interacting when you might hear hard things without being defensive, and how do we have the civil discourse that brings about change. We're not perfect, so how do we go slow to go fast and change this? So the what is the all-district staff meetings, optional, and the why is productive tension of giving birth to a new culture, community. And so we did go super slow, and it was heavy with tight protocol, and initially we spent a lot of time talking about psychological safety. We spent a lot of time talking about brave space. We spent a lot of time talking about norms of collaboration. Did people want to hear that? Not necessarily, but we're trying to show up differently and disrupt some of the patterns that we have been seeing and disrupt the harm. We tried to tee up participant choice, which you'll see a little later. And one of the ways that we try to tee up participant choice is by offering 2 topics for people to decide what they wanted to hear a little bit about, so they could experiment and simulate our feedback protocol, which we want to use later. But the 2 topics that we used that night were low risk and low charge, deliberately, so people could build muscle around, this is a pencil or a pen. You don't really care about this pencil or pen. You do, but you don't. The topic wasn't pencil or pen. You'll hear more about it later. And so it was topics that people are curious about that are going to be levers as we move forward, but it was not as charged as some of the things that we know people want to talk about, but we don't want to blow it up before we get into it and have the muscle or the structure. The other thing that we tried to do was offer an opportunity for people to sample our feedback protocol, so we could hear directly from folks how they felt about it, how they thought it might accelerate their work, what they were curious about, or how they felt it might be noise to their work and to our priority scholar outcomes. And then lastly, in that how section, we try to engage in a way where it operationalized our theory of impact or theory of action, meaning it's not about, this will be cheesy, the Coliseum again, in terms of the person down there and me just throwing darts, but it's about how do we talk about this so then the individual see their slice of the work, meaning you see how you can step in and move this forward. At the school level, which is the heart of our business, they see how that manifests and is facilitated at the school level or department level. And Franklin sees how they need to operate, create structures, and support and allocate resources. So all the slices, and people can see themselves in the work. And And again, I say we're on a journey of pursuit of perfection. And so the now what that we've had our first iteration, people will get a summary of the themes before November break. We heard about the dates coming out slowly. In fact, tonight we'll disclose the dates for February and April, and then again, folks will get it at the latest before November break when they get the high-level summary. And of course, we hope to grow attendance, so have participants for each department in each building. I just want to mention that we called in Deanna Rolfs to help us consult or facilitate some of it. But when I talked earlier about participant choice, so social emotional learning was one of the topics, and then let's talk was the other topic. Social emotional learning actually does evoke more emotion than what I kind of alluded to. But relative to some of the other things, it's less charged. And so this was an example of where people were offered up to weigh in on which topic they wanted to hear each night using a QR code. And the first night, it really was 50-50. And so then we had to go to another round of voting. But I'm just trying to give you an example of there was a voting protocol in there where people got to opt into which topic that they wanted to hear. How the first night will be different from the nights going forward is we selected the topics for these past series, and based on what people, how they populated, and what we've heard from the Eureka Report and others, those topics will populate meetings going forward. This is what I alluded to earlier in terms of once people had the opportunity to vote, then we held space for 20 minutes or so for a brief presentation. People knew that they were going to give feedback using these 3 columns. And basically it's, what's going to accelerate the work? How might this assist or support the work or help us in operationalizing priority scholar outcomes? Yellow was wonderings, and red is how might this be a barrier or create noise? The other opportunity folks got at the end of the second meeting, we learned from the first meeting that we needed to add another opportunity for people to engage or give information. We know social emotional learning and let's talk might be a couple of topics, but there may be additional topics that you want to hear about or that's on your mind a lot tonight. And so what might that topic be? And again, being able to reflect on the different slices of the work. So here are some of the themes that came up, and I don't think they're new in terms of you can also crosswalk this with the Eureka Report. You can crosswalk this with some of the other feedback that we have heard here in this room at board meetings. Some of the main topics included culture, meaning folks want to know how we're going to go about building capacity and building a healthy culture. People talked about wanting to get to know one another and caring as leadership behavior. People talked about our culture needing a first aid. Communication emerged as wanting earlier communication, clear communication, and wanting positive public relations. Equity, inclusion came up. And specifically under that or in that bucket, the words equity, inclusion, and anti-racist language came up. Holistic needs tended to stress the wellness of scholars and adults both, and nutrition came up in that bucket. Safety and transportation revealed wanting more protocols around safety, wanting more training around safety, wanting to address building issues, and lastly, not least, human resources, labor relations, GREA came up in terms of how we collaborate with them, competitive wages, and our administrative structure. So here are some of the action steps that will happen that I'm aware of right now related to some of the feedback. We've been hearing about competitive wages, retention of staff, et cetera. Human Resources has agreed to engage in a competitive salary wage study. So we'll know the firm that's conducting that by April of 2024. And then you'll hear more about that after. The Learning and Teaching Department, as we continue to engage with people and hear different themes, we are intending to be transparent with our staff about what they're saying, how they're saying it, and making sure that We're publishing that along with other instructional, excuse me, high leverage behaviors through a quarterly publication. So it'll have the themes and it'll highlight our leadership competencies. That's one of the things that we've heard people ask, that we be explicit with our leadership competencies or adopt a framework. We actually have a framework. And so being able to highlight that, in addition to there were questions about, well, what is the impact or the role of ED? So highlighting some of that here in this publication as well. One of the things that we have launched and want to get deeper in is something called Question of the Day, and we think that that's another way to hear from end users, multiple groups, scholars, caregivers, community, others, folks affiliated with the classroom and schools, and so continuing to engage in Question of the Day, which was recently launched. So that's a little ahead of that. Another action step that we have committed to engaging in is a project, it's called Project Servant Leader. So folks have said that there is a disconnect between school community and Franklin staff. So in addition to EDs and central office staff, assigning other folks, similar to what the CAST, C-A-S-T, initiative was back in the day, that added another layer of advocacy in a liaison, but using what we've learned from that to pilot and making sure that launches by January of 2024. And this may want to be one of the last action steps that will be listed tonight, but using the Elevate the Culture app. I should say this, lots of good feedback related to Elevate the Culture as well as SEL. And one of the concerns people had about Elevate the Culture team, the Let's Talk app, is they wanted to be certain that we weren't substituting human interaction with an app, and this is supposed to support human interaction. So let me tell you how. One of the main ways is by utilizing artificial intelligence, and we've been hearing so much about artificial intelligence and the chat or Claude, GP chat or Claude. And so what the Let's Talk app will do is allow a space on our website so people can type in information using artificial intelligence to harvest the proper information from our website and other documents to give folks an answer outside of school hours or during school hours to help them navigate our system better, in addition to human support. The other mechanism is customer satisfaction. So based on a menu, being able to select the topic of interest or concern, and then making sure your concern gets to the right person and that it's on the clock in terms of people responding. And then also that person that put the information in being able to respond to their satisfaction related to if their question was answered or their issue was resolved or not. We think these things do go back to the Eureka report as well as to some of the other feedback that we have received. Do we think our all-staff district meetings, the optional ones, are a silver bullet? We do not. Do we think it is a way to turn to one another and start the work of identifying concerns or things that we do not know about and giving feedback? We do. We think it is one mechanism out of a number of strategies that we'll utilize. So the next one, which will still highlight and utilize norms of collaboration, a feedback protocol, and a participant voting mechanism, are scheduled for February 26, February 29. The stagger time is to hopefully increase accessibility. The other piece is that these meetings will be in a different quadrant than the meetings were in October. It is not perfect. But there's something special about being able to start holding space as an all-staff district, and we look forward to the opportunity of growing, that it is more representative of the full district. So let me pause here and ask for questions, concerns, clarification.
Comment first and then my question. So thank you so much for the presentation thus far and the level of detail that you've gone into. So I extremely appreciate that. Can you clarify for me, when you talked about the Let's Talk app, is this strictly going to be for staff when you said on the website, or is this also, any, I was like, oh, okay. Any citizen will be able to utilize what's the WhatsApp to interact with the district or the
Yeah.
district website?
So the Let's Talk app in particular is for anybody who can access the website. It was just one of the topics that we featured at the all-staff district meeting. And the all-staff district meetings are for anyone who is an employee of GRPS. Did I answer your question? Okay, thank you. Okay.
Any other questions, colleagues?
Could you go back to that first one where you said we're going to hire someone special to do our wages?
Wages, yep. Excuse me. So one of the things that we have heard frequently, and Assistant Superintendent Lesk, I'm not trying to steal your thunder, there she is, but she will use me as a ventriloquist in this moment, in terms of we have heard that there are concerns about our salary and our admin structure. And the Human Resources Department is going to start searching for a proper firm to dig deeper into our salary structure and hopefully make a recommendation about how we become and continue to be more competitive so we retain staff and attract staff. And so more details are coming. Okay, thank you.
Will be completed by April 2024?
The only
or it
thing that will
s-
be completed by April, excuse me, Trustee Eatman, is they will know the firm. And let's ask Assistant Superintendent Lusk to tell you about her timeline in particular. And then I apologize if I cut you off. Anything else? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is this is not where we want it to be. It is a work in progress. And so the goal is for this to be communicated broadly and to grow in terms of the number of staff that participate. We know that our Feb dates will showcase HR. We think HR contracts in particular in February, and then there will be another topic. Oh, and I know, yeah, the Wordle is not in here. There's a Wordle that was created during the actual staff meeting that talked about all the topics that came up, and there was a full range. And so what I'll make sure happens is that, one, you get a copy of that and that it is in the PDF version, so then also when this gets published, community will see it as well. But it had things ranging from equity, equality, LGBTQIA, transportation, nutrition, culture. Culture was in there a lot. Wellness. So I apologize. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comment.
Okay.
I want to point out and speak to both of your leaderships for this, because when you talk about a system that is over 150 years old, with any form of a cultural norm that has been embedded, whether it's positive or negative, to change that, one, takes a lot of courage to even be transparent about not only the positive but also the toxic parts, and to lead with example, to be able to address those systems, from pay to even culture, should not go unnoticed or untalked about. And so I really, as a trustee of this district, want to acknowledge the district and the leadership for that, because that's how change starts, and that's not easy work. And so I'm proud of the work that it goes into this. Beyond the criticism that happens with our district, we are doing the work. And so I appreciate the effort that is put in this, the pain points that will come out of this, but the transformation that will be the result of that. And so kudos, and please continue in that work, and let you guys know that you are supported, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Only other thing, that graphic from Brigham Consulting, I don't need it now, but do you mind sharing it? I just would want to
Which
look
one?
at.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
From Brigham Consulting?
Yes, yeah. Thank you very much for, yes.
No, well, I mean, you can walk us through, and I just wanted to look at it a little closer. If you just want to share it, that's fine too, and you can obviously offer any thoughts you have if you want to walk us through it. Feel
Yeah.
free.
Thank you for asking me that. I already know that I'm up here longer than what I'm supposed to be, but since you asked, I certainly will. And I think one day we should invite future Dr. Nadia Brigham in to talk directly about this. But it's the productive tension model of being able to be vulnerable and transparent enough to say, we are not there yet. Clearly, given some of our data points and what we know, we are not there yet. At the same time, we can identify that there are some things that we are working on, and you can see our leaning towards the right direction. And so it is this, is it a juxtaposition of being in your current reality and knowing that your ideal state is in front of you, and being able, let's go to the bottom part of it, current reality, the emotional tension of, ooh, do I even talk about this? If I talk about this, does it mean that there's a deficiency in me, or that I'm not doing something, or the anxiety of talking about it? People are interrogated so much. Do I actually tell you that this is not where we want to be? And so real leadership under Dr. Roby is, you name that. We are not where we want to be, so we're naming it. And then focus on what we want to change. We want to change culture. We want to change growth and proficiency. We want to change when we attract more than enough staff, so then there is a waiting list and that they stay with us forever. We know what we want to change. The community has told us what we need to change, and we are right there with them. We talk about it differently, perhaps because of the side of the table we're on, but we get that at the end, we're all invested and at the table because we care about GRPS. And so while we don't always talk about how we interrogate our leadership moves and our data, that's what we do behind the scenes. We interrogate. I'm on the bottom part. We interrogate what's working, what's not working, the systems that we have in place that we do not. We talk often about we're not too big anymore, we're too loose. So what do we have to tighten up? Inquiry orientation, just orienting to all of it and asking questions and staying curious to the point where we get to the repair part, because you've named it now. You've stopped the harm, hopefully, and we're repairing. Future Dr. Nadia Brigham might talk about it differently, but because I am not her and I'm reading her work, going to the upward cycle of it in terms of in the work that we do, and as leaders being able to cast the vision of we know where we want to be with a whole and healthy culture, with healthy data points, and people looking at us when they want to know how you go about leading in an urban district. That's us. That's where we want to be, where our staff and our scholars are whole and well, and our community partners are strong and centered around our scholars and the families that we are fortunate enough to get to lead. We're not there yet, but that's where we want to be. So it's that creative tension of we know where we want to be, we're not there yet, and ideating again around how we get there. And the FMP process is a part of that, focusing on what we want to change. We know that in order for our scholars and our staff to really benefit from the brilliance in our district, we have to get full staffs in our buildings, not just for the sake of saving dollars, but harvesting brilliant ideas that really help us continue to be innovative and manifest core instruction. I'm hurrying. And imagination, just continuing to rethink outside of the box to help us meet our priority scholar outcomes and being generative and creative. I don't know if that confused or helped, but that's my 30 cents on that particular tile.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
It's a great model. I've worked with future, I like that you said that, future Dr. Nadia Brigham's with this in a few different sectors of entities that I've had to work with her with, and it's a very intentional model about how you can channel exactly what you're saying to get the results that you're looking for. So this is exciting to see and she's local. And so to be able to find that talent where you can find that and support local is also an added bonus. So just thank you all for that work.
Again, I think it just says we are not there yet. We are painfully aware that we are not there yet. We are making moves, small, micro, and macro, to get there. And like we talked about academic achievement, some accountable grace in terms of grace because we're making shifts that may seem new, but we also get, because of the seats we sit in, accountability is warranted, and it comes with the territory. Got it. trying to make some moves to improve. Want me to get up now? Okay, thank you. Want me to leave this? Okay.
All right, and so I'm going to invite Mr. Leon Hendricks and Mr. Luke Steyer forward. They're going to talk about our recent family appreciation nights that took place on Wednesday and Thursday of last week. And we do have a short video.
All right, good evening, President Williams, trustees, and Dr. Roby. We had a lot of fun, and a few of you joined us for the Family Appreciation Nights that took place on November 1st and 2nd. What gave rise to this was the fact that we decided, because of the movement around our facilities master planning and the Reimagine GRPS plan, that an expo, which talks specifics about what offerings will be available for scholars, would be better focused on our February opportunity, and we decided not to do one for our fall opportunity. And we realized that we were missing out on a major community event that drew hundreds of people, and decided that we ought to do something, especially as we are going to the public and asking them for their participation in the Reimagine GRPS with Us plan, and of course the vote tomorrow night. So we came up with the idea of doing the Family Appreciation Nights. We think that these types of engagements, whether it's these or the expos, are really a key part of the strategic plan. That includes meeting the holistic needs of the scholar, increasing student engagement and influence, empowering families to support students. It also hits on strategic theme number 6, which is building that culture of trust, which we believe is best obtained when we interact face-to-face in the physical with our young people and their families, and making sure that their families feel a part of this system. It's about so much more than just teaching the kids. So here's a little video for those of you who might have missed it. So I think that accurately captured the fun of the night. We were able to do some important work around the edges of the room with really highlighting some of the key players involved with the Reimagine GRPS with Us plan. And Luke's going to get into that.
Yes, good evening. I want to uplift our district leadership that put those booths together to be able to interact with families and share important information about some of the work that's happening. I wanted to focus on 2 of them specifically. Our human resources team put together a booth to be able to meet with parents. They asked each parent who stopped by the table whether they were interested in employment or anyone they knew was interested in employment. They highlighted the benefits of working at GRPS. Several parents said, I'm very busy, but I have some time during the day, and Human Resources was able to talk to them about some of our part-time positions that may work, around the middle of the day that they may be available for. Also talked about tuition reimbursement that's available through GRPS and our benefits and pensions. They also had QR codes out on the table, one that took families right to our current job postings so they could actually see the jobs that were available within our district. And then another one that took them right to a form where they could reach out directly to our talent acquisition team and start a conversation about potential job opportunities. Also wanted to show you saw a little bit of it in the video, our nutrition services team, you see Mr. Green there, they did taste testing both nights with 2 potential new items that could be on lunch menus across our district. One was a mixed green salad that had was locally sourced from Super Bloom Farms, had a homemade apple cider vinaigrette and dried cherries. They also had a mixed berry parfait bar, and so people could go up to that table, interact with our nutrition leaders, sample that food, and then they could actually vote whether they liked it or not, and here are the results from those. Both very positive on the mixed green salad and the mixed berry parfait bar. So our nutrition services team is now going to take that information as well as the feedback that we received in our October food survey, which is now on our GRPS dashboard. You can see those results. So this month, the focus is now taking that feedback and looking at what changes they can make, what new items they could bring to schools. So I really wanted to uplift that work that happened at both of those nights. And also just wanted to say a thank you to some of our community partners who helped out. We had a raffle each evening to help the fun, and the Grand Rapids Griffins, the Grand Rapids Gold, and the Civic Theater all donated 4 packs of tickets that we were able to raffle away each night for families. So it was great to have those organizations come alongside us and be able to provide some nice prizes for families.
Thank you.
Questions?
Questions, colleagues?
The 2 questions. One, when can we try these things? That salad and that apple cider vinaigrette sounds amazing. No, the second question really is around how did we reach out to any of our community sponsors, and are we looking for more?
We did. That's how we got the donations that we did do. But yes, we're always looking for more. We usually have some engaged in our expos, so we'll be looking for more for the expo in February. And then we're hoping to put together something for a large-scale staff appreciation in the spring, early summer.
Can we connect after this meeting?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Dr. Roby?
Jayla.
Yeah, just super quick. For events like these, for the advertisement, can you just find them on the GRPS website? Or do you guys advertise at schools or stuff like that?
Yeah, there were, I know that posters went up in schools, and we sent flyers home with at least elementary-aged children, and then it was on our website, and it was posted on our social media channels. Am I missing anything on that?
Robocalls.
Oh, yes, robocalls both nights
Texts.
as well, yes.
Do you have some thoughts in that regard on how to get word out to students? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I would just maybe double back, make sure that the principals or whoever you send them to schools actually put them up, because I personally looked fun. I didn't know that there's no flyers at my school or anything that says anything about GRPS type of things. Only stuff that's happening at our actual school, not outside of school with GRPS. So kind of just making sure that principals and people, secretary, I don't know who's responsible for putting them up, but actually put them up and get that message across.
Yeah, that's really good feedback, thank you.
I have a question about that. With the robocalls, I get those all the time as a parent.
You sound so happy about it.
Sometimes I get 4 in a day. But I'm wondering with high school age students, can they sign up to get robocalls on their own private phone, or is there legalities to that? I'm just wondering.
I'm not sure about that. I know we do communicate with the scholars through their student email accounts.
Okay.
Which I don't think we did for this event. So that's one avenue. But I don't know about the mechanics of having them get robocalls and that sort of thing.
Just a thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Roby?
All right, our last presentation is related to our student count day, pupil enrollment, and Mr. Rodney Lewis is going to come forward, and this is related to strategic theme 1 as well as strategic theme 5.
Good evening, Dr. Roby,
Good evening.
President Williams, trustees, and student rep. I'm here today to present on pupil counting or pupil enrollment as well as count day. I've got a short presentation for you this evening. This is a huge process. The process usually starts from when we start enrolling students on the first day of school, but it really gets real detailed when it hits a week prior to count day. But that time frame was September 25th through that first week prior to count day, which ended at October 3rd. We had count day on October 4th, and then a lot of behind the scenes work takes place at the building level as well as in student data services. So now we're currently in the facet of where our SDS team and the buildings are looking at final documentation. Final documentation will be submitted this Friday on the 10th, but we do have a first round of uploading to our CEPI system on November 8th, and then there'll be a final version being submitted on November 10th. And then that happens through our system. Carl Fox uploads the data, and then from that, there's three critical components of count day. One, kids have to be in school on that day, and then there's three particular dates that kids have to be back. There's a 10-day rule. The 10-day rule are for the students that are absent, but they are unexcused. They have to be back within 10 days. Then there's a 30-day rule for those students that are absent, but they were excused by parents or what have you. And then there's a 45-day rule, which are kids that have been suspended. And so those three rounds we have to shore up. The 10-day rule ended, the 30-day rule ended last Friday. The 10-day rule ended on October 18th. And then the 45-day rule ends November 18th. So there's still a little grace with those students that may have been suspended to get back in school by that time frame. So once that takes place, the auditors go through their process of looking at our data that we submit on that final version, because they are taking the reports that we have submitted as our final package per school, and then they're looking at that data, ensuring that everything is complete and secure so that they can begin to give us a final count number. Over the last 3 years, fall counts have been 14,479 in 2020. For fall 2021 was 14,405.69. And then last fall, 2022, 13,666.5. So that kind of gives us a three-year trend. When we look at our fall counts, our projected count for fall, we're looking at 13,616.70. And so one of the things I want everybody to understand, there's a number in red there that says 13,736.94. That's the current number. That number moves until it's finalized. I ran the report this morning. That was very different from what I ran late this afternoon. And so that number is not complete. We really won't get a completed number until the auditors certify the enrollment, which typically we get that March 2024. We will have somewhat of an idea of where we are, plus or minus probably 20 scholars, very soon within the next few weeks. But currently, we're sitting at 13,736.94. Any questions?
One question, that FTE projection, and that was projected as a win. Like you said, right now we're looking at 13.7, but the projection was...
Yeah, the projection was created November or December of 2022. And so we work off of that number. Currently, we are working on 2024's numbers, which we hope to have wrapped up somewhere early January to begin the budgeting process for 2024.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.
And that concludes the superintendent's reports for the evening.
Next, we have our action item, which is the purchasing agenda. Are there any additional questions with regards to the purchasing agenda?
Question, Shaki, is this including what the,
It is including the playbook program, and then in board documents, you can see the SMART goals that were associated with that program.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
In board docs, you can see the SMART goals that were associated with that program, correct?
Is there a motion to approve the purchasing agenda?
So moved.
There's a Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Shockey?
Yes.
Ms. Wade
Is excused.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Eatman? Yes. Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Melton?
Yes.
President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we have our consent agenda grouping. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda grouping?
So moved.
Support.
Ms. Davis, Mr. Eatman.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez is absent, excused. Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Shockey? Yes. Ms. Wade is excused. Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Melton?
Yes.
President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And I would invite anyone from the public, if you are going to make public comment and have not completed a card, if you would get that turned into us as soon as possible. Otherwise, you may miss the opportunity as we get started. As board announcements for the board president, I would like to encourage my colleagues to follow up on the MASB trainings that I sent. If you have not taken those, please start to do that. It's some very vital information and very helpful to the work that we do. If you need some assistance, please reach out to our board secretary on how to get logged in, but it's pretty easy. Trainings run about, at least the virtual ones that I've been in, was about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how long you sit with some of the assignments in there. But pretty straightforward and direct, so please make sure that you are availing yourself to engage in those trainings. And then I know we have a couple colleagues that are out for personal reasons, and I'll ask that our colleagues reach out and just check on them. Okay, thank you so much.
I'm noticing in board documents, there's a note about the work session next week that might be important to note publicly. Just states that the work session will be at 6:30 PM next week instead of 5:30.
Thank you. And then we will go to our public comment for non-agenda items. Ms. Lewis will read us some instructions before we start receiving comments.
Our board assistant will collect the cards for submission. Individuals will be invited one at a time to the speaker table to address the board during designated public comment time. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. You will need to state your full name before providing your comment. We will then start the timer at the beginning of your public comment time and provide you with a 1-minute notice by flagging my red card up here. You will need to complete your comment time upon being notified that 3 minutes have passed. Negative comments concerning employees or others will not be tolerated, and doing so will endanger your time. Board members do not respond to the public comment. Concerns will be brought to the attention of the appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing.
First, we'll bring up Matt Marlowe from the GREA. You can come right to the podium down center.
Good evening, Dr. Roby and esteemed board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm Matt Marlowe, GREA President. Many GREA members woke up this morning and found it uniquely dark during their commute to work due to falling back. We should celebrate that. We've made it to November, but we still have a way to go. I will focus this evening only on two of the biggest issues my members and your professional staff members are disturbed about. First, GRPS teacher salaries are uncompetitive. We are now in the near or at the bottom in starting, mid-career, and career earning metrics when it comes to salaries. By year 6, we are firmly in last place by $2,358 below our closest competitor and $6,857 below the county average with a bachelor's degree. This leads to high turnover and rampant vacancies. GREA has asked administration to reconsider salaries for this year, surrounding two facts. Record increases in all Kent County school districts with new contracts this year and earmarked funds provided by the legislature for educator compensation improvements to the tune of $50 per pupil. We expect to be bargaining with the administration on the scope of these increases very soon, despite the fact we do not yet have a formal response to our demand to bargain. Second is the continuous and growing inequity in the curriculum, both the curriculum within GRPS and in comparison to the rest of Kent County. Students' curriculum of specialized instruction provided across GRPS is inherently inequitable. For example, in K through 5, there are students who consistently have art, music, and physical education weekly. However, many routinely miss a session or two every week due to shortages of staff, specifically substitute teachers. Moreover, there are a select few that have more than 3 sessions of specials each week. Topics like foreign language, technology, and extra sessions of the big 3 are afforded in some buildings. I ask you, how is this equitable? Do you know what happens in the rest of Kent County? All of these districts provide 4 or 5 hours of specials each week. The competition is cleaning our clock by enticing our students by providing a more enriching, creative, and equitable environment for our students. In closing, with over 100 persistently unfilled vacancies, it's abundantly clear we need higher salaries and more competitive curriculum. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Amy Lynn Mabin, and then next is Julie Nettingling.
Good evening, Superintendent Roby, President Williams, and distinguished board members. My name is Amy Lynn Mabin. I was previously employed by GRPS for 27.5 years as a substitute teacher, coach, assistant athletic director, assistant principal, health and physical education teacher, mentor teacher, and lead teacher. I retired in July of 2022 after a much-needed break from the program I was assigned, and also due to a leadership role that did not come to fruition. I'll come back another time to talk about that. I did not imagine I would return to teach. However, when I got the call asking if I was interested in returning, I did not hesitate to step up and fill a much-needed vacancy. I'm proud to say that I am now a part-time health education teacher at Ottawa Hills High School. I'm here today to ask you to look into and revamp the hiring process for retired teachers. While I have many suggestions and would be willing to outline those at a later time, I wanted to bring to light a few concerns regarding the process that I experienced. It's no secret that we have a teacher shortage, not just in GRPS, but across the state and nation. I'll just paint a little picture for you. I applied for the vacancy at Ottawa in the early August, like the first week of August. I was not able to step foot into the classroom until the day after Labor Day. The scholars who I now teach had 2 weeks with a substitute, lesson plans prepared by ambitious administration. However, they had no school expectations, behavior expectations outlined for them, which we all know is super critical in those first few weeks of school. I hope you can imagine how this affected the building, myself, and especially the scholars. This in no way is a reflection of the staff, administration, HR, who work so hard. August is already a crazy month for human resources, and I really appreciate the work that was put into getting all staff onboarded for the beginning of the year. Recently, House Bill 4752 was signed into law, which changes the rules for retirees to enter into public education through 2028. It allows retired teachers to return to the classroom in any public school after 30 days out and earn a limited salary as long as they have a bona fide termination from their prior school district. There are many fiscal advantages to this law for both the retiree, the school districts, the state of Michigan, lots of fiscal advantages. We need to prepare for the fact that teachers are going to be retiring earlier than planned, possibly, and take advantage of this law. So my call to you as a board is just to make you be aware of the fact that we need to have a better plan for getting teachers onboarded. In my experience, after 16 years of highly effective and effective evaluations, I had to go through the full gamut of the whole application process. Interview, fingerprints, 16 GCN videos before I could even start teaching.
Thank you.
Therefore, I'm asking you to be aware of this upcoming transition to retirees and look ahead to have an effective plan for getting rehired retirees back in the classroom as quick as possible. Thank you for your time.
After Julie, we'll have Jolene Andrews. You'll be up next.
Hi, my name is Julie McBride, and I am a resident of Grand Rapids. I think that's what, I don't know.
Is there, I think there's a different Julie. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's okay.
Start my time.
Different Julie. We got two Julies tonight, so.
There's lots of Julies actually here. Means youthful. Okay, hi, I'm Julie Neatling, and I'm a teacher at North Park Montessori. I'm also a GRPS mom, alumni, and voting resident. I understand there are teacher staffing issues everywhere, but I'm unconvinced that GRPS is trying to be competitive when it comes to attracting teachers. We are known in West Michigan as the district with the lowest teacher salary and the district with the least amount of planning time built into the elementary schedule, and the district with limited building access. We have more time in front of the students with less time to prepare for them, and we get paid less for it. And I'm trying to help you with this. The ratification of the GREA contract at the beginning of last year came with the stipulation that we would continue to negotiate better planning time for elementary teachers. That has not happened. Negotiations and logistics should have been resolved last year and implemented this school year. It seems to me like the administration is passively waiting for the union to figure out the solution to that. Teachers should not be charged with figuring out those logistics when we have a lot of people getting paid six figures to do just that. My lack of planning time is my students' lack of specials. I already feel silly calling these little ones scholars as first, second, and third grade. And with only 123 minutes a week of art, music, and physical education, we are depriving our GRPS elementary students with a rich, well-rounded education required to actually become a scholar in their areas of passion. I'm sure it exists, but I've looked, and I cannot find one other district in Michigan that offers so little planning time or specials time for students. My students have no idea that so many kids in Michigan get STEM class as a special, PE and music twice a week, an hour of art class. They'd be mad. And these are the things that kids come to school asking about. Is today art? Do we have gym today? And sorry, PE teachers, they call it gym. When the Urban Core Collective began their accountability campaign and demanded more pay for teachers, I went to my union and asked, how could we possibly sit by quietly? Well, it seems everyone else in the community is demanding better pay for us. So representatives ordered our president and UNISERV director to try to reopen salary negotiations too. Last I've heard, we're still waiting on human resources to respond to both planning time and salary negotiations. Could be different now, I don't know. Improving both of these pieces is going to help you with your staffing problem. But improving planning time was promised to us, and that promise is currently broken. Also, I really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Jolene Andrews. Next, we'll have Miss Julie McBride.
Good evening, Jolene Andrews. I am a teacher at Southwest Elementary. I would like to reiterate the desire from parents, staff, and community members for a 30, 60, 90-day plan to address the Eureka report. We were told our house was on fire, and in the past 4 months, I have not seen enough efforts to put that fire out. I understand that these things take time, but there still doesn't seem to be a coherent plan in place with action steps and timelines, which is causing stakeholders to lose faith in the district. I am familiar with the dashboard, but it does not address all of the major takeaways from the Eureka report. One thing the Eureka report stated was that the stakeholders want the district to communicate proactively, transparently, and with intention. The mark has been missed on this again and again, between not informing staff of optional staff meetings until 2 days beforehand, not to mention scheduling these meetings during the district-mandated parent-teacher conference window, to botching the implementation of new opportunities. Although the board and administration have been discussing Book Nook for months, at my school we were asked if we would like to participate on a Tuesday, and we had to communicate our interest by Friday of that same week. This was a week in which we had 2 nights of parent-teacher conferences. It did not leave enough time for staff and admin to ask questions and fully understand what Book Nook was, let alone how it would work. 19 of my 24 students qualify to participate. I had many questions on how that would work. Having 5 Zoom calls going in a classroom is a lot. Most teachers don't have a set of headphones with microphones to facilitate meetings like this. The time frame offered did not match up with my schedule. Logistics like this take time to plan. In talking with people from other schools, it seems the ball was dropped across the board. I talked to teachers from 23 schools. Only 5 of these teachers had been asked by their admin about doing Book Nook. They were asked anywhere between a week before the deadline to 6 days after the deadline. Again, this is not enough time for questions to be answered. When we're spending this much money on a program, but we are not planning its use and communicating about it proactively, we're setting ourselves up to fail and we are wasting taxpayer dollars. The district may interpret the limited participation as a lack of interest in Book Nook when in reality, it is due to the lack of information for teachers on what's involved and how it would be implemented in our classrooms. Another thing the Eureka report recommended was to pay an equitable and competitive salary, both to support internal collaboration and to safeguard retention for teachers. The teachers union has asked the district to come back to the bargaining table on this issue, and they've been ignored. We don't need a study to tell us that we are the lowest paying district in the county. If we don't want teachers to continue to seek opportunities elsewhere, we need to be adequately compensated. I would like to support the effort for an increase in planning time for elementary teachers as well. The last contract was signed and voted on with the understanding that a letter of agreement would be drafted to address the inequity. The union has formed the committee and asked the district to meet with them, and they have been ignored. None of this leads to the culture of trust and collaboration that the district states that they are seeking. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Julie McBride is up next, and then Janie Neiman, you'll be up next.
Hello, I'm Julie McBride. I am a resident of Grand Rapids, and I'm a teacher at Congress Elementary. And this past weekend, I'm part of the Southeast Side Schools, and we participated in a Saturday meeting talking about the Promised Neighborhood Grant and how the effects of that have affected our Southeast Side and the progress that we've made through the grant and how that's helping our schools. That was exciting to participate in and see all the wonderful things of how our community and our scholars and our families are coming together. But one of the things that I am continuing to notice is the lack of retention of teachers. And when you hear of schools that have subs, 6 and 7 subs in a building, or 2 or 3, or 1 or a large number of new teachers in a building, the cohesion of a grant that's 5 years, it hinders the progress of the purpose of the grant. So in order to make progress, you need to have a cohesive unit going forward. So you're not picking up new people along the way, trying to teach them what you're doing so we can see growth. So I guess I'm back here again. That's the wonderful thing about coming to a lot of board meetings, is seeing a trend. And back in the spring when I came for the first time, because you guys went out in the building, so it was glorious, there was the conversation about how are we going to attract teachers? And there was a mention of retention, but we've still done nothing. And then to sit here and listen that we're going to, again, spend more money to go find another business to tell us, well, this is what we're lacking in the coming spring. We're losing teachers. We are bleeding our middle. We get young teachers, we get them going, we train them 4 or 5 years, and then they're gone. Then you have the older teachers that are 20 plus years that are getting tired because of the lack of appreciation. And our class numbers, you guys increased our caps. So we have kindergartens with 25 kids. I don't know if you've ever taught kindergarten or if you've been in a kindergarten classroom, but teaching 25 kindergartners is a challenge. And then you have the push for us to go back to full inclusion and not providing the support staff for the students that are going to be included into your classroom with special needs. Now, it's challenging, and I've seen you guys at board meetings demand silence. You've paused when people have had side conversations because you want to be heard. But I want you to think about what it's like to try to teach 25 scholars when one scholar is crying for a half an hour.
Time.
Thank you. Janie Neiman. And then Jacqueline. I'm not going to mess that last name up. I apologize, but you're on deck.
Good evening, President Williams, Madam Superintendent, board members. My name is Jane Neiman. I am a valued educator here at GRPS. I have taught in 3 different buildings. This is my 18th year teaching for the district. I have served in multiple capacities as a coach, 7th through 12th grade volleyball. I have been a class advisor. I am the National Honor Society advisor currently at Union High School. I have also been on my instructional leadership team. I have served this district faithfully for 17 years, and I will continue to do so. That is why I come to you today also in the role as newly elected Vice President of the GREA to tell you that yes, we are losing teachers. We lost 4 teachers in my building just a year ago, all to Godwin Heights. Teachers that have 20 plus years in the district. Why? Because they could go to another district and make 10 grand more. And with a promise of a raise every year instead of every 3 years. Now, I know why we did the salary schedule we did back in 2017. I remember going 8 years without a raise in this district. Not only has that hurt my family financially, but it also has hurt my opportunities for retirement because my average salary is lower than those of the teachers that have worked the same amount of time in other districts. So I come to you today to reiterate what we've already heard, to tell you that we are going to lose more teachers, especially our young teachers who are now going to have to start repaying their student loans. I know there has been some talk about a program that the district or the state is offering to pay up to $400 or $450 towards student loan payments. I strongly encourage the district to consider that if they have a role to play in getting that money from the state and being able to help our new teachers repay their student loans. Because right now I am hearing outcry from new teachers that have student debt that they cannot afford to pay their bills now that they're paying an extra $330 a month to pay student loans.
1 minute.
We will retain people. If we offer competitive salaries, we may even get some others back if we move now. And we do that. We offer competitive salaries to teachers. It is also important to feel valued. We try to make our staff valued at Union High School, and I think we do a good job of that. But at the end of the day, when you have to pay those bills, it is the money that talks. And we need to make sure that we are offering competitive salaries to teachers and giving that support to new teachers as well that are coming out with so much college debt. Also, transparent paychecks are a huge problem. Back in the day, everything was itemized for all the extra duties that you got paid for. Now, teachers have to do the math to make sure they're getting paid correctly. It would be nice if that could be changed back to the way it was so that teachers knew that they were getting paid on every paycheck for their duties. Also, many teachers are not being paid for extra preps or for coaching. I have 2 people that have been waiting for that in our
Thank you.
building, and their season has been a month over. Thank you, appreciate you. Have a good evening.
Jacqueline, and then William McFadden is on next.
It's Olympich.
Okay.
Just like.
Thank you.
Hello, board members and Dr. Roby. My name is Jacqueline Olympich, and I am here today as a parent, a pal, and a community member.
A group of pals recently sent an email, it was a letter to Dr. Roby and the board about our disappointment in the way the Eureka reports were handled. We requested that there was a plan put in place to address and fix the results of the Eureka report. Dr. Roby told us in her reply email that fixing the issues was more than just a plan, which I don't disagree with, but we are wondering if there is not a plan, then why share or even pay for the reports to take place? It feels like the district and board ask the community for input only to ignore the input or disregard it. I know I'm not the only parent, staff member, or community member that feels like our opinions are asked but disregarded or flat out ignored. I would like to know at what point the community can see a change in how the district communicates and uses all of the reports they pay for, and when we will see active change. We, the taxpayers, are spending a lot of money on these reports to not see any results.
Thank you. William McFadden, and then, is it Maya Ramirez? You'll be up next.
Yeah, we gonna go together.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't do it that route, but
Are
is that
you
possible?
Are you? Let's keep it separate if we could.
Okay.
So you can take it. You can take your 3 minutes, and she can get her 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
well,
you.
Well, I'm here for the community. I'm a youth program by the name of Save a Life of the Outreach Ministries, and we are here. We support the teachers and they funding that they need the extra money, and also we wanted to talk about the safety of the students because Grand Rapids Public Schools talk about no child left behind, and we are basically focusing on the kids that's going on, like the fights that's going on in Ottawa and different things of that sort, and also we do need security to help with those things. And I'm actually here, and I brought a few parents that also came out that dealt with, violence that's been going on at the schools and different things like that. And we're here to support Mr. Johnson. So if you guys can, we're here to support Mr. Johnson. So this is some of the families that's been going through problems that's been going on at some of the Grand Rapids Public Schools. So without safety, we won't have no kids, and all the kids will be left behind without Mr. Johnson. So that's one of the things that I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to relate, Ms. Meyer?
This is, you can talk about any topic at this point. All righty, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. You guys have
Thank you. And then we'll go to superintendent's comments.
Excuse me, good evening once again. Just a quick reminder to go vote tomorrow, November 7th, if you have not done so already. And then also, I want to remind everyone that November 11th is Veterans Day. And this is just a reminder to thank veterans, those who are, who have served in both times of peace and times of war. Many of us have family members who have served, and it's always a point of pride to be able to say thank you to those members who have offered their service for the protection of all of us.
Thank you. Then we will go to our board comments, and we'll start with Ms. Melton.
I want to kind of reiterate to our team, I know there's a lot of things on our plate right now. We have a work session coming up, and we will be discussing a lot of things that came up today. So thank you for the community that's here and for the way that you're sharing of yourself and of your time. And just want you to know that we are hearing you. And I really do think that you will, as this fall kind of transpires and as we are able to kind of roll out this reimagined plan, I really hope that you're seeing and hearing your voice echoed in what we're doing.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Yeah, in our consent agenda, there are multiple resolutions that we don't talk about formally at the meetings, and they're all important, but I just wanted to highlight the resolution for National Education Support Professionals Day, which is November 15th, and as a teacher, I know I just greatly value the support professionals in my building, and I'm sure that all of those of you that are teachers here tonight greatly value the support staff in your buildings. And so I just want that to be on our minds as we celebrate them on November 15th, and just thank them every day for all of the work that they do in our buildings.
Thank you. Ms. Shockey?
Just want to thank the district for an email that we received as parents on October 20th. Hard to believe we haven't met since then. But it was about the lockdown drills in our districts, and that the district was informing us as parents that that has happened so that we could have important conversations with our students, our scholars, our children about that experience. I don't remember that ever happening before, and it really was great for me to be able to check in with my children. So I just wanted to thank the district for that.
All righty, Mr. Eatman?
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to echo some of the things that my colleagues have already stated. I am extremely thankful for those who stick through these meetings, but also those who voice and bring up concerns that sometimes we are unaware of. And so I think it is really important that that continues to happen, and you exercise your voice to let us know about what's happening. In addition, I want to thank the resolutions that come out that really acknowledges our teachers and our staff overall. It is not easy work, and so we do appreciate the work that you put into that, and hopefully from the presentations alone that were tonight, that these issues are being addressed in regards to especially the Eureka report that came out regarding that. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Oh, because I am a previous swimmer myself, and I know there was a question around the Pool of Ottawa, if that could not wait till next month, since typically the swim starts in December, if that could be something that can happen sooner than that, so that way, if there's anything that's happening that we can anticipate.
So what we had committed to last year was that the pool be ready to go by January of the new year, and it had something to do with who was available to fix. I know that they are working towards it, and so we don't want to overpromise and undercommit. It might be ready, but what we had committed, if you all recall, that it was going to be ready by January of 2024. The goal is to get it done before then, and I know that they are working on the pool right now, but we didn't want to commit to it, and then because we had some challenges with getting whoever the licensing around there's so many contractors that do pool work, and so that's why there's been some delays.
Thank you for that progress report.
Thank you. Ms. Downs-Lewis?
Yes. As a retired teacher, I do know that how much money you're making now or next year or the year after that makes a really big difference on your retirement. And so I'm very sympathetic with all of the teachers that spoke, because I know you're underpaid. There's no question about that, and I don't think anyone here at this board table would think you're overpaid, that's for sure. But, you know, we can only do just so much, but know that we appreciate you. Appreciation might be just a word, but I'm very serious when I say this, because I've been around the district, visited different schools, and I am just so impressed by the dedication of our teachers, and I appreciate you. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Mr. Ross?
No comment.
Ms. Davis?
No comment.
And then lastly, I'll thank everyone, as I do every meeting, for coming out, sharing your comments with us. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us. We know it's not easy to come and speak to these issues that arise in such a forum, and we appreciate you being brave enough to come into this space to share with us. And we, again, ask that you stick with us. We are kind of trying to do some things. Then this is a big luxury liner. It's not a speedboat that we can just turn around really quickly. And so we ask that as we try to dig into this work, that you're patient with us as we are trying to, again, do it well and do it right. And then understand that I know we often hear about the Eureka report, and I do want to acknowledge and uplift Superintendent Roby for being the one to commission that, and understand that that's how intentional she has been with this work, and that for us to get to the things that's in it, she is working on that as well. So thank you, Superintendent Roby, for your leadership in that, and I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
sorry, next week.